Today, we're going to learn one of the most important features in fractions: equivalent fractions. These are fractions that have the same value but different forms. What are equivalent fractions? Let's start with a pizza. If we cut a pizza into 2 equal parts and take one part, that's 1/2, written as 1/2. If we cut the pizza into 4 parts and take 2, it's still 1/2, but now it's written as 2/4. If we cut it into 6 parts and take 3, it's still 1/2, written as 3/6. In the same way, 1/2 of the pizza can also be written as 4/8, and many more. We found that even though the numbers are different, the amount of pizza is the same. We call these fractions as equivalent fractions. They show the same part of the whole. Unlike whole numbers, which have only one way to represent a quantity, fractions can be written in many different ways to show the same amount. This is a unique feature of fractions, and it will be used frequently during fractions addition and subtraction. Here's one more example. We have the same amount, but it's shown in different ways. 1/2 is the same as 2/4 and also the same as 3/6. Even though the numbers look different, the value is exactly the same. Now we understand what equivalent fractions are. How do we find them? Let's take a closer look. In the middle image, the amount stays the same, but both the top and bottom numbers are multiplied by 2. In the last image, again, the amount doesn't change, but this time, both numbers are multiplied by 3. So here's the rule. To find an equivalent fraction, multiply or divide both the numerator and the denominator by the same number. Let's try using the rule to find 1/2 equivalent fractions. When we multiply both the top and bottom by 2, we get 2/4. When we multiply both by 3, we get 3/6. We can also find equivalent fractions by dividing. If we divide both the top and bottom numbers by the same value, we get a simpler fraction that still shows the same amount. Simpler fractions help us understand the size of the fraction more clearly. For example, the fraction 50/100 might look a bit tricky at first. But if we simplify it, we get 1/2, and that's much easier to understand. So, what is the simplest form of a fraction? Let's look at an example. We start with 4/8. If we divide both the top and bottom by 2, we get 2/4. Then, we divide both by 2 again, and we get 1/2. Now can we divide 1/2 any further? No, we can't divide both numbers by the same whole number anymore. That's why we say 1/2 is in its simplest form. It's the easiest and clearest way to show that amount. A fraction chart is a great tool to help us understand equivalent fractions. Let's use it to find equivalent fractions for 1/3. Let's draw a line at the end of 1/3. We can see that 2 pieces of 1/6. 4 pieces of 1/12 are all equal to 1/3. Now it's your turn. Try finding equivalent fractions for 1/12 2/3 using the chart. Let's try using the rule to find equivalent fractions. The key idea is this. Equivalent fractions use different units to measure the same amount. For example, if we use 1/4 units to measure 1/2, we get 2 pieces. If we use 1/6 units, we get 3 pieces. If we use 1/8 units, we get 4 pieces. Even though the pieces are smaller, the total amount is still the same. Equivalent fractions are a special and important part of fractions, and the more we practice, the better we understand. Let's do some practice with equivalent fractions. Multiply the numerator by 3 and the denominator by 3. The answer is 9. Divide the denominator by 5 and the numerator by 5. The answer is 3. Divide the numerator by 3 and the denominator by 3. The answer is 4. Multiply the denominator by 6 and the numerator by 6. The answer is 12. Let's practice finding the simplest form of a fraction. We start with 12 over 36. First, we break 12 into 3 times 4, and 36 into 3 times 4, 12. We notice that both numbers have a common factor of 3. So we divide both by 3, and we get 4 over 12. Now we see that 4 and 12 also share a factor 4. Let's divide both by 4, and we get 1 over 3. That's the simplest form of the fraction 1/3. We can't simplify it any further. Thanks for watching. In our next lesson, we'll learn how to add and subtract fractions with different denominators.